guys, it's Jay. Welcome back to the channel. So, to celebrate the release of the Fruits Basket Prelude movie in Japan, I decided to make a DIY video on Kyo Sohma's bracelet. I know I might be a bit late on this DIY since the final season is already out and the movie is already out in Japan, but I still had a lot of fun on making it and it's quite simple. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So here are the things that you'll need. Some modeling clay. You can get a red and white one, or you can paint it later like me using some red acrylic paint, or if you want you can also use some white acrylic paint. You will need some elastic strings, or those strings that help you make a bracelet. I'm using the silver ones because those are the only ones that I have, but if you have some plain transparent one, those would work too. Next, you'll be needing some scissors. And then if you want, you can get some clay sculpting tools, but I ended up not using it. You may also need a needle, but a toothpick would also work just as fine. And maybe some decoupage if you want to give a final glossy finish, but you don't have to use that. And finally, you may also need some paintbrushes and maybe some scrap pieces of paper or cardboard to maybe help you to get the stain away from your desk or your working area. But that should be pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, get your modeling clay. I only have the white modeling clay at the moment, and this clay does get very messy when I work with it, so I ended up getting a scrap piece of paper to help me prevent to make more mess. And if you have a red or white clay, you can do this step separately, but first get one of your colored clays and then unwrap it. Okay, so I'm not very good at explaining myself, so bear with me, but hopefully you understand. So first, grab your clay. I got around a handful of clay, but I just kind of eyeballed it, and then roll it into a snake-like shape. The thickness can be up to you. I just kind of made it around to the size of my finger. And then there are many ways to make each of the ball of the bracelet. So I just kind of ripped some clay out and then start rolling it into a ball and just kind of estimated the size around to my finger. But if you want to find an easier way, you roll the clay into a snake shape and then cut it into a few pieces and then start rolling it from that, like how you make boba. Do the same thing for both the red colored clay and the white colored clay, but if you don't have red colored clay, you can always paint it later after this step. So while you're making the clay beads or the balls of the bracelet, try to aim for around an even amount of beads, which is maybe like 12, 14, 16 beads. It's really up to you. Make sure you have an even amount of bead for each color, like maybe you have like 8 red beads and then 8 white beads, or 10 red beads or 10 white beads. I ended up making 27 because that was the amount of clay that I used, but try to aim for an even amount. If you didn't like the thickness or size of your beads turned out the first time, you can always re-roll it and remake it. I did that and I made it a little bit smaller. Make sure not to make the beads too big or too small. I would say maybe around the size of your fingers. After you've created the beads or the balls for the bracelet, it's time to make the hole for the string to go through. So to create the hole on the beads for the strings to go through, get your needle or your toothpick and just poke through the center of your beads. I find it most effective if you just poke it a few times from each side of the bead instead of just like rolling it on the surface, because it will like deform the circular shape that you want. But make sure you make the hole big enough so that the strings can go through, and make sure to do that for every single bead you have. Also, if you're not sure what I'm trying to say or explain, I apologize, but just watch the video. It'll be more self-explanatory with it. Also, if there seems to have like excess clay sticking onto the needle or the toothpick, feel free to just clean it every time you poke a bead so that you won't accidentally putting more clay into a random bead and just blocking the hole or something like that. So after that, I just kind of let my beads dry overnight, but if there are some like rough surfaces on your beads, feel free to get some water and smoothen the surface out. Since mine is a modeling clay, I can just use some water and then like use a paintbrush or my fingers to smoothen it out. But if you don't have modeling clay or you don't have clay like this, you can just skip this step. Sometimes I'm selfish, get jealous, I feel a little helpless, my whole world has shifted. So after all of your beads are dried up, it's time to paint half of your beads into red. But if you already made some red beads with just normal red clay, then you can just go ahead and skip this step. Anyways, to begin, split your beads into a half, so maybe like 12 that you want to leave white and 12 that you want to paint red. After you've separated your beads, paint half of your chosen beads into red and half of them white, but if it's already white, you can just leave it. Make sure to cover the whole bead with red. The inside doesn't matter, just make sure to cover the whole surface area of the bead red. And after the first layer is dried, feel free to do another coat on it or another layer of paint or red, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. And also if there are some like small mistakes that you want to fix up, feel free to do some touch-up as well. So after the beads, the clay, and the paint are dry, and if you want to give it a glossy finish, feel free to use some decoupage and put a layer on top of the beads to make it shiny and have like a glossy finish look. But if you don't want to, feel free to skip this step. However, if you want to have a glossy finish, then mix some water with your decoupage and just paint a layer of decoupage onto all of your beads and just let it dry. And then after it's dried, it will give your beads a glossy finish. Okay, so after all your beads are dried, it's time to make the bracelet. Get your elastic string or bands or whatever to make the bracelet, and your scissors. And then first you have to estimate how long you want your bracelet to be. I just kind of wrapped it around my wrist and then just kind of estimate it from there. Make sure you do leave a gap so that you can tie the knot later. And then after that, I just cut the string into my desired length. And then choose your beads that you want to put on the bracelet. So just choose a red one and then a white one and then a red one and a white one. Keep doing this pattern until you think that you have enough for your bracelet. And then after that, put your beads through your string. If you don't want it to go through one side, you can always tie a knot. I ended up just putting a clip on it so that it won't go through when I was like putting the rest of the beads together. If you don't think it's enough, feel free to always add more beads and make sure to like estimate it when you're like putting them together. So after you have put your beads through the string and you think you have your bracelet done, tie a double or triple knot and then maybe try and wear it a few times before you finish it, and then cut off the excess strings and then you're done. And if you also have extra beads like me, feel free to just make another bracelet. You can make it for a family member, a friend, or just have an extra one. Also, while making your bracelet, if you find that you can't put your string through your beads, you can always just get a needle and then just like poke it through. Okay, after this, you're actually done.
You love me, love me, love me. Touch me, touch me, touch me no more. Why don't you love me, love me, love me? Touch me, touch me, touch me no more. Love me, love me, love me. Touch me, touch me, touch me. Love me, love me, love me.
So anyways guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys want to see more of these videos, please make sure to give a like and subscribe. I really liked how these DIYs turned out and I actually had really fun making it. But anyways, if you want to see more of these videos, please make sure to comment down and tell me what other DIYs you wanted me to make. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And the shout out goes to Roko Bakovoy. Balkovic. I am so sorry for pronouncing your name wrong, but congratulations. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys, peace out.